Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're uncovering something pretty wild. We are going to look at how the failed economics of AI replacing human workers has actually led to a terrifying new era of corporate hyper-surveillance, one that is pushing the modern workforce toward an absolute psychological breaking point. We're going to connect the dots between the hidden costs of artificial intelligence inside Silicon Valley right now and a bizarre, highly contagious psychological phenomenon from 1962.
So let's start with a massive fear you've probably had over the last couple of years. We've been constantly told that cheap digital workers, AI agents, are coming to replace us, right? The popular narrative was always that human salaries are a company's biggest liability. But simple arithmetic inside the tech industry is proving that narrative completely wrong. It really begs the question, is AI actually replacing your job, or is it just relentlessly watching your every move? Well, the data tells a fascinating story.
The reality check here is honestly staggering. A massive study called the Gen AI Divide dropped a bombshell, revealing that 95% of enterprise AI projects have failed to create a single dollar of extra profit. I mean, think about that failure rate. Companies chase this dream of replacing human payrolls to cut their costs, but they hit a massive financial brick wall when they realize how these tools actually operate out in the real world.
The math simply does not work. Look, human costs stay relatively flat over time. A junior employee gets faster and better at their job, but their salary doesn't just multiply overnight. But as an AI agent becomes more capable, as it takes on complex reasoning and error retries, its token costs, which is essentially the compute power it takes for the AI to actually think, curve upward exponentially. At current prices, fully self-running agents turn out to be a massive financial drain, not a cheap human replacement.
So in a massive twist of irony, the new, most valuable job in the building is the verification specialist. This is a human hired just to babysit the AI. And to be clear, humans aren't being spared out of corporate kindness here. Companies simply cannot afford to let AI run completely loose. They desperately need humans to watch the systems and catch mistakes before a runaway loop literally bankrupts a project with those compounding token costs.
Because they couldn't afford to replace you, employers pivoted hard. They realized the next best thing is to relentlessly monitor you. They are trapping the global workforce in what's known as a digital panopticon. This is based on Jeremy Bentham's 1786 concept of a prison where inmates behave perfectly simply because they believe they're always being watched. Today, that exact concept is applied via software, trapping you right inside your own home office.
You might actually already be an inmate. If you use Microsoft Teams, you know exactly what I'm talking about with the productivity theater of keeping your status like green so management doesn't get suspicious. But that green dot is just the surface. Bosses can now access centralized data profiles showing exactly which applications you interact with and how often. It goes even further. They can literally track your physical location in a building via company Wi-Fi networks to see exactly where you are working at any given second.
But it gets so much more invasive. Take the Model Capability Initiative, or MCI. This software literally watches and records everything you click and type. It can flag specific terminology in your chats, words like union or pay raise, bringing you under immediate scrutiny. And honestly, the worst part? It uses all this recorded employee data to train AI models to do your tasks. You are essentially being forced to provide free, on-the-job data to train your potential replacement. Let that sink in for a second.
The competitive bossware market has taken this to absolute extremes. You've got tools like Sneak forcing always-on video calls. Protocore relentlessly tracks your activity for constant productivity scoring. Then you have premium programs like Verato's Cerebral Security. Verato runs in stealth mode, meaning you have literally no way of knowing it's there. It takes secret screen captures every 30 seconds and uses a time capsule feature to continuously record video of your screen if it even suspects you violated a code of conduct.
And Verato doesn't just record you, it actively judges you. It uses all this surveillance to compile an AI-generated risk score based on behavioral analytics. The software is constantly looking for anomalies in your daily patterns. That means simply downloading a few more files than usual on a Tuesday, or sending a couple extra messages, could trigger an absurd AI hallucination. The algorithm instantly flags you to your boss as a corporate security threat, and suddenly you're under a microscope just because a machine misinterpreted your totally normal workflow. So why does all of this actually matter to you? Well, it's about what this environment does to human beings. Human resource experts warn that this aggressive, data-driven surveillance is completely counterproductive. Professor Peter Holland hit the nail on the head, pointing out that research indicates the more you monitor and surveil people, the less productive they actually become. Why? Because being trapped in a digital panopticon pushes the human nervous system into a state of severe, inescapable distress.
To truly understand where this relentless digital monitoring ultimately leads, we actually have to take a look back at history. We need to define mass psychogenic illness, or MPI. It's basically a psychological domino effect. When a tight-knit group of people is placed under severe environmental stress, that intense shared strain can manifest as genuine physical sickness with absolutely no infectious agent present. The symptoms are 100% real, but the trigger is psychological strain combined with a visual feedback loop of seeing others suffer.
Let's look at a perfect historical example from June of 1962. A U.S. textile mill was running at absolute peak capacity. The workers were subjected to intense scrutiny and mandatory overtime. Suddenly, 62 workers broke out in severe rashes, nausea, dizziness, and numbness. They claimed they were being bitten by toxic insects, so-called June bugs, that had shipped in with the fabric. The media amplified the panic, and the outbreak actually forced the factory to shut down entirely.
But here's the crazy part. When investigators and entomologists arrived on the scene, they found absolutely zero evidence of actual insects. The bugs just didn't exist. The real pathogen was the crushing workplace strain. 59 of the 62 victims were women, most were the primary income earners for their families, and they were being pushed to the brink by production quotas and hovering managers. Their subconscious distress manifested as physical illness, which spread like wildfire, a true visual contagion, the moment they saw their colleagues getting sick.
When we put that highly monitored 1962 factory worker side by side with today's remote employee, the parallels are absolutely chilling. The 1962 worker was monitored closely by floor managers, had no escape from the physical factory, and was pushed to the brink by quotas. Today's remote worker is monitored invisibly by Verado and teams, tracked right inside their own living room, and pushed to the brink by automated AI risk scores. We are seeing the exact same psychological pressure cooker, just in a slightly different setting.
We are currently cramming millions of workers into a digital panopticon, subjecting them to levels of hidden surveillance that human beings were simply never evolved to withstand. So I want to leave you with this final thought. When our modern, relentlessly monitored workforce inevitably reaches its psychological breaking point, what terrifying modern version of the June bug epidemic are we going to collectively manifest? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and stay curious.